You want to win your love? Then listen carefully. Love is not luck. It's not a fairy tale. It's not something that just falls into your lap. Love is power. Love is courage. Love is a choice you make every single day. And if you're ready to stop waiting and start creating, here are 6 truths that will change everything. You want to win your love? Then it begins right here. Owning your worth. Because here's the truth. You cannot receive the kind of love you crave if you don't first believe you deserve it. Think about it. Every single interaction you have, every choice you make, every boundary you set or break, it all stems from the way you see yourself. If you see yourself as not enough, you'll accept less. If you carry yourself as though you are worthy, you'll demand more. People mirror what you project. And when you project doubt, you invite disrespect. But when you radiate certainty, you invite admiration. It all starts with the unshakable belief that you are already valuable without needing someone else to validate it. Too many of us are waiting for someone to come along and tell us we're beautiful, tell us we're lovable, tell us we're finally worth it. But love built on external validation is fragile. It can crumble the moment that validation disappears. You can't build your foundation on somebody else's opinion. You have to decide, right here and right now, that your worth isn't negotiable. It doesn't rise when someone praises you, and it doesn't fall when someone rejects you. Rejection doesn't define you. It reveals them. Their inability to see your light doesn't dim it. Your worth is permanent, and the moment you embrace that, you stop begging for scraps of affection. You stop being grateful for least they stayed, and you start demanding love that matches your fire. Confidence is not arrogance. Let's get that straight. Arrogance is rooted in insecurity. It needs to put others down in order to feel high. Confidence is rooted in clarity. It knows exactly what it is, without comparison, without competition. And confidence is magnetic. People are drawn to it because it's rare. Most people are still stumbling through life searching for someone to tell them who they are. But when you know who you are, when you enter a room with the energy of belonging, the entire space shifts. That presence makes people lean in, listen closer, want to know more. Love doesn't rush toward those who shrink themselves. It gravitates toward those who own their space without apology. And owning your worth isn't just about what you accept from others. It's about what you demand from yourself. Do you treat yourself like you matter? Do you invest in your growth? Do you honor your body, your mind, your spirit? Or do you constantly sacrifice your needs just to keep others comfortable? Because here's the raw truth. If you keep telling yourself that you don't matter, don't be surprised when others treat you the same way. The standard is set by you. Self-respect creates the blueprint for every relationship you'll ever have. When you start showing yourself love, real, intentional love, you'll stop entertaining people who give you anything less. Now, let's talk about what happens when you don't own your worth. You settle. You make excuses. You stay in places that suffocate you because you think you can't do better. You silence your voice because you fear losing someone who barely hears you anyway. You bend until you break all to hold on to something that isn't even holding on to you. And the tragedy of it all, you convince yourself that this is love, but it's not. Love isn't pain disguised as passion. Love isn't inconsistency dressed up as mystery. Love isn't a battlefield where you're always bleeding. When you don't know your worth, you confuse chaos for connection. You mistake intensity for intimacy, and you keep calling it love. But here's the awakening. The moment you choose to see yourself differently, everything shifts. You stop settling for half love, half effort, half presence. You stop trying to convince someone to love you, because you understand love is never about convincing. It's about aligning. And when you are aligned with your worth, you attract people who recognize it without hesitation. You attract partners who don't just see you, they value you. They honor your boundaries. They celebrate your growth. They respect your fire. Why? Because you taught them how to. You showed them by the way you carried yourself, by the standards you lived by. When you know your worth, love stops being a battlefield. It becomes a mirror, reflecting the power you already claimed. So remember this, your worth is not up for debate, not up for discount, not up for negotiation. The day you own it is the day you stop chasing love and start winning it. Stop chasing, start choosing. That one shift can change your entire experience of love. Chasing comes from fear. The fear of being alone, the fear of not being wanted, the fear of never finding the one. But here's the truth. When you chase, you give away your power. You make someone else the prize and reduce yourself to the pursuer. That energy is felt. And no matter how fast you run, no matter how much you try to prove your worth, you'll always end up exhausted. Because love isn't meant to be hunted down. Love is meant to be aligned with, chosen, and nurtured. Think about it. When you chase someone, you are subconsciously saying, "You are more valuable than me. I need you to complete me. I'll bend. I'll compromise. I'll sacrifice just to keep you." But love born out of desperation is fragile. It collapses under pressure. True love is not about convincing someone to stay. It's about standing in your own power and deciding who is worthy of walking beside you. The moment you stop running after people, you free yourself from the cycle of constant rejection, disappointment, and heartbreak. You stop gambling your heart away in hopes that someone will finally validate you. Choosing, on the other hand, is powerful. Choosing comes from clarity. It comes from knowing who you are, what you want, and what you will no longer tolerate. When you choose, you flip the dynamic. You're no longer hoping someone picks you. You are evaluating whether they deserve a seat at your table. That shift in mindset transforms everything. You stop falling for empty charm. You stop mistaking attention for affection. You stop confusing convenience for commitment. Choosing demands standards, and standards attract respect. People know when they are being chosen, not chased, and it changes the way they show up. And let's be real, when you're chasing, you can't even see the red flags. You overlook the lack of consistency, the broken promises, the excuses. You ignore the way they dismiss your needs because you're so focused on winning them over. But when you step back into choosing, your eyes open. You recognize that love isn't about who texts you back the fastest or who makes your heart race with uncertainty. Love is about alignment, reciprocity, and growth. And that only happens when you slow down and make deliberate choices instead of running after fleeting connections. Here's the painful truth. Chasing always costs you more than it rewards. It costs you your self-respect. It costs you your peace. It costs you your time, your energy, your dreams. You end up building your life around someone who may not even want to be there, sacrificing everything just for the chance to be loved back. But you are not a beggar at the door of love. You are not meant to plead for attention, scraps, or validation. You are meant to stand tall, rooted in your worth, and decide for yourself who is allowed to share your life. Choosing is not arrogance. It is self-preservation. It is wisdom. And here's the breakthrough. When you stop chasing and start choosing, you attract differently. You attract people who meet your energy instead of draining it. You attract relationships where effort is mutual, respect is reciprocal, and love flows freely. You no longer feel anxious about being enough, because the right love doesn't make you question your value. It confirms it. The shift from chasing to choosing is the moment you take your power back. It's the moment you stop living in fear of being alone and start living in alignment with the love you deserve. Stop chasing people who don't see your worth. Start choosing people who match it. Because real love is never caught, it is chosen. Love cannot thrive in silence. It cannot grow in a space where words are swallowed, where needs are hidden, where truths are buried under fear. Communication is not optional. It is the heartbeat of every strong relationship. Without it, trust suffocates, intimacy withers, and love becomes guesswork. Too many people believe that if they love me, they'll just know. No, they won't. They are not mind readers. Love does not require magic. It requires clarity. If you want to win love, you must learn to open your mouth, speak your truth, and do it without apology. When you silence yourself, you betray yourself. Every time you avoid a hard conversation, every time you swallow your needs just to keep the peace, you are slowly teaching your partner that your voice doesn't matter. And once you convince someone that your voice is optional, reclaiming it becomes twice as hard. Love should never demand silence in exchange for security. True love invites your words, your feelings, your desires, all of it. Because love without honesty is nothing but a performance, and performances cannot last forever. Let's talk about vulnerability. Somewhere along the way, society convinced us that being vulnerable is weak, that showing emotion makes us fragile, that asking for what we need makes us needy. But here's the truth. Vulnerability is not weakness, it is strength. It takes immense courage to expose the raw, unpolished parts of yourself to another human being and trust that they won't run. That courage builds intimacy. That honesty builds trust. And without trust, there is no love, only the illusion of it. If you want real connection, you must be willing to be seen, fully and fearlessly. Communication also means boundaries. Speaking your truth isn't just about saying what you want. It's about saying what you will not accept. Boundaries are not walls, they are guardrails. They keep love from derailing into resentment and chaos. Too many people confuse boundaries with ultimatums, but they are not the same. Ultimatums are threats. Boundaries are standards. When you say, "This is what I need in order to feel safe, respected, and loved," you are not being demanding, you are being clear. And clarity is love's greatest protector. But let's be clear, communication is not just about talking. It's about listening. Listening with intention, with patience, with empathy. How often do we hear words but miss the meaning? How often are we crafting our response instead of truly absorbing what our partner is saying? Real communication is not a battle of who speaks louder. It's a dance of understanding. If you want love to last, learn to listen not just to the words, but to the pauses, the silences, the unspoken. Often, the greatest truths are hidden between the lines. And here is the shift that will transform your relationships. Stop fearing hard conversations. Stop running from the discomfort of honesty. Because silence doesn't protect love. It kills it. The couples who last are not the ones who never fight. They are the ones who fight with respect, communicate with honesty, and always return to the table, ready to understand each other. Love is not destroyed by arguments. It is destroyed by avoidance. Communication may feel uncomfortable in the moment, but it is the very thing that builds unbreakable bonds. Speak your truth. Ask for what you need. Set your boundaries. And listen with your heart. Because love without fearless communication is not love. It's just silence wearing a mask. Attraction can light the spark, but only respect keeps the fire alive. Love without respect is fragile, hollow, and destined to collapse. You can feel it, can't you? That knowing emptiness when someone says they love you but dismisses your feelings, interrupts your voice, mocks your dreams. It feels like love on the surface, but beneath it, something is missing. That missing piece is respect. Respect is not a luxury. It is the backbone of every real relationship. Without it, passion turns toxic, words turn sharp, and love becomes a battlefield where no one truly wins. Respect begins with recognition. The recognition that you are equal partners, not competitors. It means understanding that your partner's voice carries as much weight as yours, that their needs are not inconveniences, but truths that matter. Respect is seeing your partner's humanity in its fullness, their ambitions, their struggles, their flaws, their brilliance. And it is honoring all of it. You cannot claim to love someone while dismissing the very essence of who they are. Real respect doesn't shrink the other person to fit your comfort. It makes space for their entire existence. Far too many people settle for love without respect. They convince themselves that passion will be enough, that chemistry will cover the cracks, that "at least they love me" justifies the way they're treated. But here's the reality. Attraction may intoxicate you, but it cannot sustain you. Disrespect chips away at your spirit piece by piece until you no longer recognize yourself. It silences your voice, shrinks your confidence, and forces you to negotiate your worth in the very space where you should feel most celebrated. That is not love. It is captivity disguised as romance. Respect is not passive, it is active. It shows up in the way your partner listens when you speak, supports you when you fall, and celebrates you when you rise. It shows up in the small moments. When they choose kindness instead of cruelty, patience instead of dismissal, loyalty instead of betrayal. Respect is consistency. It's not something that appears when it's convenient and vanishes when it's hard. It's steady, present, unshakable. And if it isn't there, no amount of love will make up for its absence. Respect also flows both ways. If you demand it, you must also give it. You cannot ask for a partner who values your boundaries while trampling over theirs. You cannot expect someone to honor your dreams while belittling theirs. Love rooted in respect requires mutual recognition. Two people standing tall, side by side, not one towering over the other. It means uplifting each other, not competing for dominance. It means building a partnership where both voices matter, where both futures are prioritized, where both hearts feel safe. Here's the truth that will save you years of heartbreak. Never confuse attention with respect. Someone may shower you with compliments, gifts, or affection, but if they mock your struggles, dismiss your needs, or undermine your worth, it is not love. Real love is not loud declarations. It is steady respect. And when you demand nothing less, you set the standard for the kind of love that lasts.